What was supposed to be a simple financial dispute in court has turned into something much worse. There are whispers, tension, and something much darker in the air. What started as money is now revealing secrets that this family never wanted the world to know. And when Kody Brown walks in and doesn't look anyone in the eye, one thing is painfully clear. This is no longer just a case. It's a reckoning. You might want to rethink everything you know about this family because what happens in this courtroom will change how you see them forever. So, before we start, do you think this is about justice or revenge? It seems like the courtroom is colder than it should be. Not because of the air conditioning, but because it was so quiet. It's the kind of quiet that makes it hard to breathe because it presses against your chest. People are shifting uncomfortably on the wooden benches, which creak. Looking. Kody is sitting at the front, stiff and with a tight jaw. He has his hands together, but they don't look steady. Christine doesn't look at him at all across the room. She is looking straight ahead, standing up straight, and her face is blank. But her eyes are carrying something heavy, something that isn't clear. Janelle is sitting next to her, quieter, watching everything like she's planning out every move before it happens. Then there's Robyn. She seems nervous. Not just nervous, weak. Her fingers are twisted together in her lap and her breathing is uneven, as if she knows something is going to happen. Meri is the last person to come in. She stops for a second at the door, long enough to take it all in. The space, the people, the space between them all. Then she comes in. That's when the whispers begin. Everyone knows that this case is because of her. It didn't start here. It didn't begin in a court. It started quietly, months ago, with something that didn't seem like a big deal at the time. A loan. That's what they said. An easy deal for a short time. Based on trust. Family helping each other. But in this family, things are never easy. Things were already tense back then. People had been talking about the breaks for a long time before they happened. Christine had already started to pull away emotionally even before she left. Janelle was becoming more independent and less willing to do what Kody told her to do. And Meri, she had been standing outside for a long time, looking for a way back in. And then the talk happened. It happened late at night. People talk like this when they think no one else will ever find out about it. Kody and Robyn sat next to each other, speaking softly and seriously. They needed cash, not a little bit. Something important. Something that needs to be done right away. Robyn's voice sounded a little desperate, but Kody saw it differently. He said it was a chance. A sharp break. If they just had help, they could fix it quickly. That's when they brought up Meri's name. She had things to use. She was stable. And most importantly, she still had hope. She hoped that this would bring her closer to her family again, even if it was just a little bit. So they got in touch. Meri didn't say yes right away. She thought about it for a moment. You can almost hear the pause in her voice now as the testimony is read aloud in the courtroom. She asked questions. She wanted things to be clear. But more than anything else, she wanted to be sure. Kody did give it to her. He said it would only last a short time. He said that everything would be clear. He said this would help people trust him again. But promises don't always mean what they say. And this is where everything starts to change. What sounded like help was slowly turning into something much more dangerous. The judge tells everyone to be quiet and brings them back to the present. The case is officially started. It looks like a money problem, breaking a contract, not paying back, or not being clear about the terms. But the judge seems to know it too. It's not just about the money, this is about me. The lawyer for Meri stands, stay calm, in control, ready. He starts to lay out the timeline, the amount of the loan, the conditions, or rather the lack of clear conditions, the payments that were supposed to happen but didn't. Each word hits harder than the one before it. Kody moves around in his chair. Robyn looks down and doesn't make eye contact. Christine finally looks over, but only for a second, and that look means something. Not a surprise, not confusion. Acknowledgement. It seems like she's been waiting for this moment, like she knew it would happen. The lawyer keeps talking, his voice steady, maybe too steady for how tense the room is. He talks about messages that are private, talks that were never meant to be seen by the public. And all of a sudden, the air changes. Robyn's head snaps up a little. Kody's face gets hard. This is where things start to get dangerous. Numbers aren't the only proof. It's words. It's what you want to do. It's true, or at least that's what someone says it is. Someone reads the first message out loud. Kody's voice from a few months ago. Sure of yourself. Comforting. Promising to pay back by a certain date. Promising openness. Honesty is a good thing. And as the words ring out in the courtroom, it becomes painfully clear those promises didn't work out. And just when you think this is only about broken promises, the next piece of evidence makes it clear that someone in this family may have known it would never be paid back. The room is changing. Not obvious, but real. People lean forward a little bit. The stress gets worse. Now it's not just about getting the money back. It's all about intent. And intent changes everything. The lawyer stops for a moment before introducing the next piece. It's almost like he wants the silence to sink in. It's like he wants everyone to know what's going to happen next. Then he talks again, and this time he talks about Robyn directly. She reacts right away. A flash of fear, barely under control. Kody sees. Of course he does. And for the first time, he seems unsure. Not mad, not on the defensive, not sure, because he might not be able to fully control what is about to be revealed. The courtroom seems smaller now, more tightly. It feels like the walls are closing in. The judge even leans forward a little bit, waiting, looking. Because everyone knows this is the point where the story could change completely. And now that the next document isn't evidence, Robyn's hands start to shake, just a little bit, but it was enough for everyone to see. As soon as the judge gets that paper, the whole courtroom goes from being tense and curious to something much heavier, almost suffocating. You can hear it in the silence and feel it in how no one wants to move too quickly. Robyn's fingers tighten around each other and her knuckles turn white. Kody leans forward a little, trying to see it before it is read aloud, as if he is trying to get ready, but there is no way to get ready for this. The lawyer clears his throat. His voice is steady, but now there's an edge to it, as if he knows how important what he's about to say is. He says that this paper isn't just a message or a casual exchange, it's a private note, more like a plan than a conversation. And when he starts to read, it feels like every word hits the weak structure that holds this family together. Robyn said it. Calm, planned, and much more straightforward than anyone thought. She talks about timing, money problems, and how this might be the only way to stabilize things for now. But then she says something that changes everything. Christine's eyes widen just a little, and Janelle sits up straighter. Robyn says that repayment doesn't need to be immediate and that things can be managed differently if necessary. At first, this sounds vague and almost harmless, but then the lawyer stops and stresses what it means, that from the very beginning, there may not have been a real intention to pay back the loan as promised. A ripple goes through the courtroom. It's not loud, but you can feel it. Kody's face gets tense and his jaw locks as he shakes his head a little, almost without thinking, as if he doesn't want to accept what it means before it fully sinks in. Robyn, on the other hand, looks like the ground has vanished beneath her. She leans back a little, her breathing is uneven now, and her eyes quickly look at Kody before dropping again. And Meri doesn't move at all. She just watches. Her face is calm, but her eyes show something deeper. Something that looks a lot like pain mixed with validation. This is no longer just about money. This is about trust that was given and maybe even used. The lawyer keeps going, carefully building the story and pointing out how this message was sent just days before the loan was finalized, and how it goes against what Meri was told at the time. He doesn't need to raise his voice or make a big deal out of it. The words are loud enough on their own. Kody finally reacts by leaning toward his lawyer and whispering something urgently. His anger is starting to show, but it's under control, for now. The judge raises a hand to signal for calm, but the tension has already broken through the surface. Christine lets out a slow breath, as if she has been holding it for months or even longer. Janelle looks at her for a second, and in that short time, they both know something that can't be said, but is clear. They've seen this kind of thing before. It might not be in a courtroom or this bad, but the pieces and the way people act all feel familiar. The lawyer changes course a little and now talks about the timeline, showing how the promised payments never fully came through, how communication started to break down, and how explanations changed depending on the situation. And as he talks, the story gets clearer, sharper, and harder to ignore. This wasn't just one mistake. There were a lot of choices made. Choices that are now being judged by the harsh, unforgiving light of the courtroom. And just when it seems like the truth is finally coming into focus, something even more disturbing starts to show up. This may not have been a decision made by just two people after all. The room goes quiet again, if that's even possible, as the meaning hangs in the air. This time, Kody looks up quickly, his eyes narrowing and his body stiffening as if he is getting ready for something to happen. This time, the lawyer shows a recorded conversation as more evidence. Not a planned recording, not something that was meant to be saved, but something that happened by accident. There is a short pause before it plays, as if the court knows how serious what is about to happen is. After that, the sound starts. The sound is a little off, but the voices are clear enough. First, Kody's voice is low and steady, but you can't miss it. He talks about stress and needing to keep things together. He also says that not everything has to be explained right away. Then Robyn's voice joins in, softer but urgent, asking what happens if she starts asking too many questions. There is a pause, a brief silence that feels louder than anything else, before Kody answers. He says, almost as if it were nothing, she trusts us. She always has. And in that moment, something breaks. Not loudly or dramatically, but enough for everyone in the room to feel it. Meri's face changes, but only a little. A flash of something breaking through the surface. Trust is what this was built on, and that's what it is. And hearing it said and used that way changes everything. Robyn shakes her head and whispers something, but it's too late. The words are out there now, and there's no way to take them back or change their meaning. Kody leans back in his chair and runs a hand through his hair. For the first time, he looks like he's losing his cool. He doesn't look at anyone anymore, not at the lawyers, the judge, or even Robyn. He can't easily explain this away, though. It feels like the truth itself is heavy in the courtroom, pressing down on everyone there. The judge asks for a short break, but no one really moves. No one really lets go, because the harm has already been done. And as the session gets ready to start again, there is one question that is not being asked but is impossible to ignore. If this was planned, even in part, what else hasn't been revealed yet? And more importantly, who else knew? The deeper this goes, the more it seems like this wasn't just a betrayal of money, but of the whole family. The courtroom never quite gets over what it just heard. When the session starts again, the silence feels different, heavier, sharper, like everyone is getting ready for something worse. The judge tells everyone to keep going, and this time, the defense stands up. Kody's lawyer steps forward with a calm confidence that seems forced, as if he knows he's going into dangerous territory but has no choice. He starts by changing the way everything is framed, calling the messages contextual, the recording incomplete, and saying that what is being shown is a distorted version of events. He sounds calm, but there's a sense of urgency in his voice, as if he's trying to fix something that's already falling apart. Kody straightens up a little and holds on to that defense, while Robyn nods weakly, almost desperately, as if she needs those words to be true. The lawyer says that the loan was never meant to be strict. It was a flexible family agreement based on understanding rather than strict deadlines. He stresses that things changed financially, that the pressure grew, and that intentions should not be confused with results. For a moment, it almost works. The story changes just enough to make you doubt it, just enough to make the situation seem less like a planned event and more like a complicated misunderstanding. But then Meri's lawyer stands up again, and the change is instant, like a storm coming back just when you thought it was over. He doesn't shout or argue aggressively. Instead, he brings up something much more dangerous: patterns. He starts talking about things that happened in the past that weren't part of this case at first, but now seem very important. Times when people made financial decisions without being completely honest. Times when people were asked to trust each other, but then had trouble doing so. The courtroom is paying close attention now, not just to the facts, but also to the story that is forming between them. Christine's face changes again, and her eyes narrow a little, as if she can see parts of her own life in what is being said. Janelle leans in a little more, her attention fully on Robyn, who is still losing her cool. Her breathing is shallow, and her posture is getting smaller. But Kody starts to look annoyed. No, more than annoyed. Cornered. His fingers tap on the table, a small, restless movement that shows how angry he is getting. The lawyer goes on, carefully linking each moment to show that this wasn't just a one-time thing, but part of a bigger pattern where trust was often more important than clarity, and promises were sometimes made in anger but not always kept. This is the point in the session where things change. He calls a witness. Just saying the name makes people react before they even step forward. It's someone close to the family, someone who has seen things from the inside and whose point of view matters. When the witness takes the stand, the tension rises again, this time more sharply. Testimony isn't just evidence, it's interpretation, memory, and truth filtered through experience. The questions start off easy, almost gently, asking about the relationships, how decisions were usually made, and how well everyone talked to each other. The answers start out neutral and careful, but as the questions get deeper, so do the answers. The witness talks about a pattern of emotional pressure that was subtle but always there, making it hard to say no. They talk about times when money was seen as loyalty and when support was expected to keep the family together. Kody moves again, and it's clear that he's uncomfortable now. His earlier confidence is fading as the story starts to get out of his control. Robyn looks down and avoids everything, as if she wants to disappear from the moment. Meri watches closely, her face still calm, but there's something building beneath it now, an intense calmness, as if she's finally seeing everything laid out in a way that can't be denied. And just when it seems like the testimony can't get any more revealing, one piece of information changes the whole case. The witness talks about a conversation that is different from the one that has already been recorded. This one wasn't written down or saved, but it was remembered well. A talk in which people voiced their worries about the loan and their doubts about whether it would be paid back in full. And the witness said that those worries were not ignored. They were recognized. The implication is clear right away. If there were doubts before the agreement was signed, or if the risk was known, then the whole defense starts to fall apart. Kody's lawyer quickly objects, saying that memory isn't always reliable and that there isn't enough physical evidence, but the damage is already done. This isn't just about proof, it's also about how things look, and the way people see things is changing quickly. The judge lets the witness keep talking because it is important, and the witness goes on to talk about the tone of the conversation, the hesitation, and the underlying uncertainty that seemed to be there even then. Christine shuts her eyes for a moment as if she is trying to figure out something hard that has to do with her own life in ways she didn't expect. Janelle's face hardens a little, and her calm demeanor now has a little more firmness and decisiveness to it. And Meri, for the first time, she looks down. Her calmness breaks just enough to show how heavy what she's hearing is on her heart. This isn't just confirmation, it's realization. She realized that what she thought was trust might have been something else entirely. Kody lets out a loud breath and leans back. It's clear that his patience is running out and he is losing control with each passing moment. He whispers something to his lawyer again, this time more urgently, but it seems like he knows that the story is no longer his to control. The questioning is over, but the effect stays, filling the room with a quiet intensity that doesn't go away. The judge asks for another short break, but once again, no one really moves right away, because everyone is still trying to figure out what just happened. And as the courtroom slowly starts to wake up, one thing becomes more and more clear. This case is no longer just about whether the money was paid back. It's about whether trust was used against someone on purpose. And that is a lot harder to fight back against. Now, the question isn't just what happened, but who knew it would happen and let it happen anyway. When the court resumes, the air feels thicker than ever, as if the walls have taken in everything that has been said and are now holding on to it, not letting anyone breathe easily. There is no more casual movement or whispered side conversations. Everyone is now quiet and focused as they settle back into their seats. Kody doesn't look at anyone when he sits down. His face is harder and more guarded, as if he built a wall around himself during the short break. Robyn is next to him, but there is now an emotional distance between them, as if they are not completely on the same page right now. Meri's posture has changed a little bit across the room. She isn't just watching anymore, she's there in a different way, more grounded and sure, as if everything that's happened so far has changed something inside her forever. Christine and Janelle share a short look, and it's not obvious, but they both understand that this is no longer just happening. It's coming apart. The judge calls the session back to order, and this time, Kody's lawyer does something that surprises everyone. He says that Kody wants to speak to the court directly. There is an immediate ripple through the room because this is dangerous. Very dangerous, but also revealing. Kody slowly stands up, adjusts his jacket, and takes a breath that feels heavier than it should. For the first time since this started, he looks directly at Meri. Not at the judge, not at the lawyers, to her. When he starts to talk, his voice is steady, but there is something underneath it that sounds strained and like it's holding back more than it is revealing. He talks about the past, the years they've spent together, how complicated their family structure was, and how decisions were rarely made alone. He sees the loan as part of that mess, as something that happened in a system of shared responsibility and unclear lines, where money and relationships weren't always clearly separated. He says that there was never an intention to lie or take advantage of anyone, and that everything was done with the hope that things would work out in the end. And for a second, it almost seems real. Not because the facts change, but because the feeling is real. But then Meri's lawyer stands up again, and the change is instant, cutting through the emotional layer Kody just tried to build. Instead of attacking Kody directly, he asks one clear question that completely changes the tone. He asks Kody to explain why, if trust and good intentions were the only things that mattered, there were times when communication stopped completely when repayment was brought up. The question is there, simple but sharp, and you can't ignore it. Kody isn't sure what to do. Only for a second, but that's all it takes. Because at a time like this, not answering speaks louder than any answer. He starts to answer, talking about stress, timing, and outside pressures that made it hard to talk to each other, but the clarity from before is gone. The trust is not the same. And the courtroom can feel it, and just when it looks like Kody might take charge of the story again, something unexpected changes the whole thing again. Meri herself stands. It's not a big deal, not very loud, but it changes everything. Because the case structure has protected, spoken for, and represented her up until now. But this is personal. After a short pause, the judge agrees, and the room goes completely still. Her voice isn't shaky when Meri starts to talk. It's quiet, calculated. But there's weight in it, years of it. She doesn't start with the loan, she starts with trust. She talks about what it meant to her, what it meant for their family, and how it was never just about rules or agreements. It was also about trusting each other without needing to write everything down. She says that agreeing to help wasn't just a smart move, it was also an emotional one. It was hope. Hope that this would fix something that had been falling apart for a long time. And as she talks, you can see it hitting not only the courtroom, but also the people it's meant for. Kody's face changes again. This time it looks softer, but also more confused. Robyn looks like she's about to cry. Her composure is barely holding together. Christine watches with quiet intensity, and Janelle's gaze stays steady and focused, as if she's taking in every word. Meri keeps talking, and her voice never gets louder, but every sentence makes her sound stronger. She says that what hurts isn't just that she didn't get paid back, it's also that she realizes that the trust she gave may not have been valued the same way, that the people who made the promises she believed in might not have meant them as much as she did. And then she stops, long enough for the silence to get deeper, before saying something that changes everything again. She says she doesn't think this was all a mistake. The reaction is quick, small but clear. Kody looks up quickly, Robyn's breath catches, and even the judge leans in a little. That statement changes the case once more. It presents intent not as a mere possibility, but as a conviction. And when people say their beliefs in court, they matter. Meri doesn't directly say what she thinks. She doesn't blame anyone. But she makes it clear that she no longer thinks this is a mistake. There are too many things that don't make sense, too many times when there is silence, and too many times when the explanation changes, and that what used to feel like confusion now feels like something else, something planned. The room holds that tension, allowing it to settle and sink in. Kody tries to answer, but for the first time, he doesn't seem to have the words ready. He doesn't seem as sure as he usually does. He has completely lost control of the story now. Robyn finally speaks up, and her voice shakes a little as she says that nothing was done on purpose, that everything was a mistake, and that they never meant to hurt anyone. Even though she says it, her tone is weak, which makes it sound more like a plea than a defense. And that difference is important. Because a plea doesn't get rid of doubt. It usually agrees with it. The judge asks for order again, but the emotional weight of the moment doesn't go away. It stays there, heavy and undeniable, filling every corner of the room. And as the session comes to an end, it feels like something has happened that can't be undone, at least not yet legally. The lines are clearer than they have ever been, and whatever happens next won't just be about proving things. It will be about facing truths that have been hidden for too long. Now, the question isn't just if the truth will come out, but if this family can stay together once it does. The courtroom goes quiet, which feels strange after everything that just happened. It's like the storm has stopped for a moment, but everyone knows it hasn't passed. Not even close. Things feel different now. It's not just tension, but something deeper, exposure. The kind that doesn't just sit in the room, but follows you, clings to you, and makes you face things you've been avoiding for years. Kody leans back in his chair, but he doesn't seem confident in how he's sitting, and he doesn't feel in control. Instead, he has a quiet, restless discomfort that shows in the way his fingers tap against the armrest and the way his gaze keeps shifting as if he's looking for something solid to hold on to but can't find it. Robyn is sitting next to him, but she feels far away now. She is quiet, her eyes are red, and her posture is a little hunched over, as if she is trying to make herself smaller in a moment that has become too big for her to handle. Meri doesn't look away anymore from across the room. She isn't avoiding anything right now. She seems more grounded than anyone else, as if the truth, no matter how painful, has given her a kind of clarity she didn't have before. Christine and Janelle sit together, still and watching, but something has changed in them too. They are both quiet and firm, as if something they have both felt for a long time is finally being said out loud in a way that can't be ignored or dismissed. The judge tells the next phase to start, and this time the focus is on financial records. These are real, tangible pieces of evidence that move the case from emotion back into structure. but somehow make everything feel even more real. One by one, the documents are shown, showing transactions, timelines, and money movements that make a picture that is clearer than any testimony could. And as the lawyer goes through them slowly and carefully, the story gets clearer and harder to argue with. Payments that were promised but didn't come through on time, partial transfers that don't match up with earlier claims, and gaps in communication that happen at just the right times in the timeline. Every detail adds to the last one, making it seem less like a coincidence. Kody's lawyer tries to fight back by questioning the interpretations and suggesting other explanations, but the strength of this evidence isn't just in what it shows, it's in how consistently it shows it. Patterns don't fight, they show, and what is being shown isn't good for anyone on that side of the room. And just when it seems like the financial truth is finally becoming clear, a detail hidden in the records brings up a possibility that no one had fully thought of before. The lawyer stops and turns to a certain page. His tone changes a little, not a lot, but enough to show that this is important. He brings up a transfer that doesn't fit the usual pattern and that hasn't been talked about before. The timing and the destination are what make it important, not the amount. The courtroom leans in again, and the group focus gets tighter as the meaning starts to take shape. The transfer happened soon after the loan was received, and it wasn't for any of the stated financial needs that were first mentioned. Instead, it went to an unexpected place. Kody's posture changes right away, and his expression becomes more tense and sharp, as if he is more aware of the document. Robyn also looks up. For a split second, her face shows confusion, but then it changes to something else, something harder to read, something that looks more like alarm. The lawyer isn't in a hurry. He pauses to let the news sink in before moving on. He says that this transfer raises questions, not only about how the money was spent, but also about what the original plans might have been. Because if the money was moved so quickly and quietly, the loan's purpose becomes less clear, and the trust it was built on becomes even weaker. Of course, Kody's lawyer disagrees, saying that the transfer is being taken out of context and that there are still explanations that haven't been fully explored. But even that objection seems less certain than it did before. This isn't just a technical issue, it's a hole in the story that has been told so far. The judge lets the conversation go on, and now the focus is on that one deal, breaking it down, questioning it, and putting it in the bigger picture. And as it is looked at more closely, another layer starts to show up. There is almost no communication about that transfer. There is no clear explanation, no documented reasoning, and no sign that Meri was told about it or even knew about it at the time. The lack of noise around it is just as important as the deal itself. Christine moves a little, her face tightening as she watches this happen. Janelle's gaze stays fixed, analytical, taking in every detail with quiet intensity. Meri's reaction is slower and more internal, but it's there. You can see it in the way her jaw tightens and her eyes narrow just a little, as if she's putting something together in real time. Because this wasn't what she had agreed to. And that understanding hits differently than everything else so far. It's not just betrayal, it's being moved. The feeling that something she gave in good faith was used in a way she was never meant to see. Kody finally speaks up again. His voice is a mix of anger and urgency as he tries to explain that the transfer was necessary, that things had changed, and that decisions had to be made quickly. But the explanation doesn't seem complete. It seems like some parts are missing or that it doesn't fully connect to what is being shown. And the courtroom can feel that gap. Robyn tries to help him by speaking more softly and emotionally, saying that everything was done under pressure and that nothing was meant to be hidden. But again, the tone feels more like defense than certainty, more like a reaction than a clear statement. The lawyer takes a step back to let the moment breathe before bringing it back to the main point, not just what was done, but also what was said. Or, more importantly, what wasn't. In a situation based on trust, silence can say just as much as action. And now that silence is getting very loud. The judge looks over the papers again, this time taking a longer break as if he is also thinking about what has been found. And when he finally speaks, it's measured, but it has a weight to it, as if he knows that this case has gone beyond just disagreeing with each other and into something much more complicated. As the session comes to an end, things don't seem to be getting better, they seem to be getting worse. The pieces aren't fitting together well, they're crashing into each other, overlapping, and showing new sides that make the situation harder to understand, not easier. And as everyone starts to pack up their things and get ready for what's next, they all know that this isn't the end. If anything, it's getting closer to something much bigger. Something that could change everything. Now, it's not just about who broke the deal, it's also about what else happened behind the scenes while everyone thought they were in the light.